Hello, everyone. I'm Bianca from the Ukrainian Actors and Actresses fandom. In today's episode of the Magic Behind Ukrainian Actor, I have a guest, which you maybe only seen in some BTS of the actors or AMO Pictures, because he's working behind the camera. And I guess it's gonna be a very interesting conversation. Welcome, Jason Wojnar.
Hi. Wojnar. Sorry.
I'm bad with last names.
It's all right. It's all right.
Wojnar.
What's your last name, Bianca? If you're okay sharing it. If you're
It's
not okay,
okay. My last name is Hiege, but it's still hard even for the Germans.
sounds
Even
hard.
if
Like
I
that's
spell it, they write it wrong. Let's say it this way, in a vertical way. I got bullied as a child often because of my first name and my last name. My first name because it's from the Walt Disney movie The Rescuers.
I don't think
Bernard
I'm
and Bianca, the little mouse.
right.
It's a cartoon. That's why they bullied me and my last name, because in German you can make some other words out of it if you add some other letters. It
Right.
was hard as a child. Today I would say, okay, I don't care, but as a child, oh, kids can be so cruel.
That's like with their do you know Johnny Cash, the country singer?
I heard of it of this person, but I don't know it now.
He has a song called A Boy Named Sue, and it's all about this guy who wants to kill his father because he named him Sue before he left forever. And it's like he eventually finds his dad. He talks about how he'd get bullied and blah 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 blah. And he eventually finds his dad, and they literally have like a fight to the death. And he's like, the dad's like, you can kill me, but just know that I named you Sue because I knew I wasn't going to be around, and I wanted you to be the toughest SOB that ever was. So
Okay,
that name made you strong. And he's
okay.
like, wow, dad.
My story is not that way. I was supposed to get another name, but at this point in the year while I was born, there was a favorite name of all new parents. And in the
Right.
hospital, there been already seven babies with this name, and my mom didn't wanted me to get exchanged, and she read the book of the Rescuers, which came out 1 year before I was born, and so I received this name. No, but anyway, but you all are wondering, what is Jason doing? He's working for AMO, and he is a very important person on set, since English is not the native language of these actors, or most of these actors. So he helping them out because he is a native speaking tutor.
That's correct.
So guys, he is important. How does it happen that you said you want to work in first of all in the film industry and in verticals and in this job position?
Well, I fell into it just by circumstance. I've been living in Ukraine for 8 years now, and I've been working in this industry for a year and some change. And my friend just sent me this ad that they posted on one of the Facebook groups for foreigners. They were like, "Hey, we need native speakers for this production company." Vague about what it was, but
Yeah.
it seemed legit. And I answered it and showed up and started working.
Oh, that's great. Because to explain it to you all, well, maybe Jason, you will explain it. From where are you originally from?
I'm from the United States. I was born in New York. I grew up in Yonkers, which, if you know the geography, it's right outside of New York City. And I moved to Ukraine in 2017 when I was 23, and I studied at a music school there.
Okay. And the music school was a reason why you moved to Kiev?
Yeah, music is when people ask me why I moved to Ukraine, and I don't want to give them the whole spiel, I just say music. Music is the main thing that brought me here. There is like a few bands that I got into while I was living in New York that blew me away so heavily that I was like, I got to find out what's special about this place
Yeah.
that produces these people who make such great art.
Yes.
So if anybody's curious, like there's a band called Dach Daughters who are this like cabaret troupe basically. They're all women. They all wear white makeup and like white dresses usually, and every song is like a little theater piece basically.
Oh, cool. This reminds me of, I guess I saw it on TikTok and maybe Facebook as well. There is a group. They are from Colombia, but they are doing, yeah, they're going live on TikTok and with their guests, and they singing Ukrainian songs.
Yep. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't know what the name is of this group, but I see them all over now.
Yeah, I always forget the name too, and I feel so bad that I do, but
The
it's
guy,
so
the lead singer is with the long hair.
long, beautiful hair. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
His mom's
amazing to
from
see.
Ukraine. Yeah.
And so many Ukrainians who get into their stream, they are so surprised and so happy to hear that. That's amazing. I mean, I tried to learn Ukrainian on Duolingo, but it's hard.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I think Duolingo is not the best way to learn. It can
No,
be a good
no,
accessory,
I
but
said again.
it can be a good accessory to supplement your learning, but I think Duolingo by itself won't get people very far. And I think
No,
Duolingo has gotten worse in recent years.
yeah, because you can cheat a lot if you don't know what it is. You click on it, and I must admit, I had a few months ago, I saw an advertisement of a young woman. She's Ukrainian, and she offered 1 hour in a Zoom meeting for free to check out her Ukrainian lessons.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I learned much more in this 1 hour. Sure, after that, she offered for the people who joined this meeting a special price to book the full lessons. But I learned so much more in this than on Duolingo. But since my 1 year subscription on Duolingo is running out end of this month, I guess end of this month, I can't go on with that. And I don't want to because I would prefer to save the money to get a real tutor to teach me that.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually very bad in learning languages. It's the same with English. In school, I mean, in America, you get in school from A to F, I guess. A
Yeah.
is the best and F the worst. Here in Germany, we have from 1 to 6. 1 is the best, 6 is the worst. And I always had a 3 or 4, and I always had 4. What do I need English in my life? Until I started to travel around the world alone and started to work. And then, because of my hobby and my ex-boyfriend, I started speaking more English. I mean, the grammar still sucks, and but I can speak fluently. And
You have
that's
a good
say it again.
you have a good accent. You don't have like a heavy German accent. You don't, everything's clear and easy to understand.
The funny thing is, since almost a year, I speak more English than German, and sometimes I miss the German words because I don't know what it is in German. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Jeez.
But at least it's at the moment not like that I'm dreaming in English.
Wow,
No,
that's
I don't do it at the moment. While I
um,
been with my ex-boyfriend who lived in Canada, I dreamt in English. It's crazy. But anyway, maybe you explain to us how or what are you doing in your job actually?
Mhm. So I have a couple of responsibilities because I also sometimes proofread scripts or translate them. But when I'm on the set, basically the workflow is like this. I show up, I say hi to everybody. The sound guy, the zvukorejissar, the person in charge of sound, gives me a pair of headphones so I can hear what the actors are saying when they're mic'd. Before they shoot a scene, depending on how fast the day is going, how smooth things are, even before they rehearse, I'll be with the actors and I'll read over the scene that they're going to shoot, and I'll correct any mistakes, anything with pronunciation, and then during rehearsal, I'll usually be close by just to make sure that things are kind of locked in place before they actually shoot.
Hmm.
And then when they actually shoot the scene, I will be there listening, and I will, depending on the project and how time is, sometimes if they make a big mistake, I'll in the middle of a shot be like, take the line again, or I'll wait until after the shot is done and I'll tell the director. And depending on the set of circumstances, they'll do the shot again or whatnot, find some sort of solution of what to do. And it also varies. This is kind of a thing that I didn't realize for a long time. And it's a thing you have to be very careful for because time is so important on a set. Like, I don't know if you've ever been on a film set as like an extra or if you ever worked in it at all, but it's like, it's so
It,
intense.
yes, I will explain it after that. But I think that's amazing that I don't know if every production company in Ukraine have a native speaker on set. I don't think so, because I've seen some verticals where the English pronunciation was
Uh-huh.
not that good. But I like it a lot that AMO Pictures offer this to the actors. The show can become better. And I must say, I see a lot actors and actresses who increased their English skills a lot in the past year.
Yeah.
I always can, yeah, repeat myself. For example, Bogdan Ruban
Hmm.
in his show Rejecting My Lycan Mate, he
Yeah.
spoke sometimes like a robot, and now he speaks fluently. And I saw it in my recording for the Magic Behind Ukrainian Actors with Lee Berlinska.
Of course.
I had Alexandra with us. Alexandra is a young Ukrainian woman who lives here in Germany and joined me sometimes in my recordings to help me translate. And she didn't have to do much because Lee did so well. So with her, I see a huge difference to last year.
Yeah.
It's still not perfect, and you still hear a huge accent in it, another accent than from most of the actors, but she increased her English skills a lot. It's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah,
And
I think I noticed it too for sure. I worked her maybe a year ago for the first time, and then I heard a little snippet of that interview, and I was like, wow, when I first met her, I don't think she could have talked the way that she was talking in that interview.
let's say it this way, I started with this category last year in March, and I asked her immediately, and she
Hmm.
said, I would love to, but I don't speak English. And I said, maybe you find another colleague or co-star of yours who would love to join us and help you to translate. But you know how it is. The schedule of these actors are so full packed, so it's never happened. And so end of last year, I asked her again, and she said, "Let's do it." And I said, "Just in case, I have Alexandra. She could join us and help us." And then she was all confident and said, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah.
And that's amazing to see. And I recently talked to Isan Rozumni, who is a native speaker as well. And he said sometimes if there's no a tutor on set, he's helping out a lot too. And we all know Hugh Hanley is doing the, how do you call it?
Speaking
The Eng-
clubs.
English speaking club.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I mean, there's another native speaker now in Ukraine, Robert Holmes.
Hmm.
And I guess you guys can help out a lot. And I talked to a few people out of the audience, and we all said the accent of these Ukrainians is somehow charming.
Yeah.
Because in most other countries, even if the native language is English, but they always switching to the American accents. For example, the Australian actors, they have to switch to American accents. And but the verticals which are produced in UK, they keep the accent, the British accent. And I think that they are doing it in the English language and didn't start to doing it in Ukrainian means a lot, because here in Germany, for example, we trying to get verticals to Germany, well, to shoot in Germany as well. And the first production team started doing it in German. And I said, okay, some in Germany would like to listen to German movies, but to reach out more people in the audience, do it in an international way. It's so much better.
Yeah.
And you said you are not always on set. And I
Yeah.
guess you are not only doing those verticals, you're doing all those shorts on YouTube as well.
I actually haven't worked on a short.
Oh,
I've
not?
only worked on the vertical on the serials, on the shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, maybe you can send me afterwards if you have an overview of your shows on which were working. That would be awesome, because then I would add you to our fandom as well. And the people can see who is responsible for what these actors are saying.
Oh
'Cause-
yeah.
yeah, because everyone deserves the recognition.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Maybe you
It's
can.
a funny thing about how you said how the accent has a charm though, because it's like I've met people who talk about or who've, have friends who are actors who go to America, and it's like if they don't have a perfect American accent, finding work is nearly impossible. Which like I get on one level, if you're playing a native born person, you have to have a perfect accent. On the other hand, though, there is something to like of course you're always playing a character, but having your kind of signature and that being a strength eventually. Like the famous actor, I always forget his name, but he's a Mexican actor and he's the lead character in Andor, the Star Wars serial.
Okay.
You
I don't
know,
know because I didn't watch it.
but he's Mexican and he's like he has this role in a Star Wars movie. And he was in an interview and he was saying that when he first moved to the United States from Mexico and was starting to play in American projects, people were telling him, "Yeah, you got to work on that accent. You got to get rid of that accent." And he said that he didn't want to get rid of his accent. And it's like, okay, if it means I'm not going to play certain roles, that's okay. But that's who I am. And he had
Right.
an accent in this Star Wars show, and it's like you could say, okay, he gave up a lot of roles maybe by not getting an accent coach, but he has that role that people are going to remember him for decades upon decades.
Yeah. And in the vertical space, there is an actor from Germany. It's Fabian Arnold.
Mhm.
He's actually originally only maybe 45 minutes away from me here, but he lives in LA and he's working in the vertical space. And you hear his German accent, definitely. And sometimes, even in some shows, you hear it much more than in others, but you
Yeah.
can hear it. But still, he had already a few, or not just a few. I guess I don't know how many verticals he shot, but he been in a few verticals, and it's the same with Mark Schöttner. I
Yeah.
mean, he's German, half American, but he acted in three American verticals as well. Yeah,
The famous story about Arnold Schwarzenegger is that he actually hired a coach to keep his accent because he had been living in the United States so
yeah,
long. I don't know how
yeah,
true it is, but it's like I believe it 100%.
yeah, yeah. That's yeah. You said it's a signature.
Yeah.
That's really great. Um,
Myself, I fluent in Ukrainian. It's like my second language, and I write music. My main passion is writing my own music in Ukrainian, and I
wow.
still have an accent. It's better than a lot of Americans, but I still have an accent, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to get rid of it 100%, but is it necessarily something I want to get rid of 100%, you know?
Yeah. Now I'm going a little bit personal in my life. One of my cousins is married to a man from Nigeria,
Mhm.
and he lives over 50 years in Germany. But if I met him, I always told him, let's talk in English because I don't understand you in German. Because to explain it this way, out of this area where he is in Nigeria, no, not Nigeria, Ghana or Nigeria, one of both. In this area, his family is kind of like royalty. And so he is the head of his community in Berlin. So he speaks a lot his mother tongue. So he never got rid of it. So
Yeah.
if we met him, we always spoke English because his German was, even after so many years, so bad that you barely could understand him. Yeah. You said you are not always on set. You are proofreading some scripts as well.
Yeah.
So that means in Ukraine, if they're writing scripts, I guess they write it first in Ukrainian and then they translate it to English. They don't use AI for the translation, right?
I'm not 100% sure about that because usually I'll get the scripts, they're already in English and I proofread them. So,
Okay.
or maybe they use, because even translators these days use software to help them translate, but they still read it all over, you know?
Yeah.
Like when something's being translated, it's not like somebody's going sentence by sentence and typing it in, look, you know? These days there's software that translates, but you still need somebody to read it over to make sure
Yeah,
that
definitely.
colloquialisms are there, that things sound okay, that all mistakes are, that there are no mistakes. And that's what I do. Yeah.
Because maybe verticals coming originally from China. And most scripts of the American shows are from China and they just translating it in AI,
Yeah.
where the sentence sometimes don't even make sense. and they don't even change something because I spoke to a few people by now. They have to take care of the cultural differences because the culture in Asia is totally different than in the Western part of this world.
Yeah.
Like if the CEO enters the building, nobody is bowing down, and those are some things which I maybe have to adapt. And that's why I like it that they proofread the scripts in Ukraine, because there are great script writers.
Yeah.
But not all scripts from Ukrainian verticals are written from Ukrainians. I had a while ago a conversation with Jamila Baena. She's
Mhm.
from Mexico,
Mhm.
and she wrote three scripts for Ukrainian verticals for Lucifer's Bride, The Alpha Maid Who Cried Wolf, and A Love Too Risky to Resist.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was one I worked on that an American wrote, if I'm not mistaken. I was like, I was saying something and they said that, no, no, a native speaker wrote this. And I was like, oh, really? For once?
Have you ever thought about yourself to go in front of camera?
Yeah, but I would be totally down for it 100%. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'm just not like how you say, I understand how hard of a job it is, that I'm not going to approach it. Oh, you just like say lines in front of a camera. No, it's these actors are very hardworking people. Uh,
Yeah,
and I think it's one of the things that has kind of been de-romanticized by me working here, is realizing that these actors work really hard, you know. It's not
yeah,
like they film a vertical a month and that's like, okay, I'm good for the next 6 months. It's like, no, a lot of them are filming in Ukrainian television as well. A
yeah.
lot of them work in theater. A lot of them do other commercials here and there. So they are very, very hardworking people.
That's one of the reasons why I don't have as much guests in my YouTube format because they are very busy.
Yeah.
I mean, for Lee, I was waiting almost a year.
Yeah.
With Irakli, I waited a year. With Bogdan, I waited 6 months. With Nazar, I waited, I guess, 5 months.
Yeah.
And it's normal. And that's the first thing you learn in the vertical space. You have to become patient.
Yep.
You have to become patient. And maybe we see you in one or another vertical that you get a costume and have to jump. And even if you're just standing on a party in the background first and or are the waiter or whatever.
The first rung on the ladder, you know? I have been a voice. I have done a voice, just like one line. You remember did you watch what's it called? The witching dessert?
Yes, it's they renamed it the witching. How do you call it?
Oh, is it not called
No,
the witching with Pierre and the woman Liza?
but how did you name the show?
But it was called the witching dessert.
Yes, now it's called Desired by Two, The Vampire and the Hunter.
Ah, Desired by Chu, the Vampire and Hunter. Okay. Yeah, there's a scene where she starts being able to read minds and she's
Yeah.
in a cafe, and I'm one of the voices in the cafe of people's minds. I'm one of the voices in their head.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I recently saw in the show with Sergei Streinikov and Valeria Zakian, I guess it's her name.
I
I Seduce My Older Therapist.
I worked on half of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I immediately heard Tetiana Slova dubbing Valeria and Eugene Lesnichi dubbed Sergei.
Yeah.
And I know the reason why Sergei maybe got dubbed because he don't speak English.
Mhm.
Because I know it from Anton Skripets, his brother. Because I would love to invite Sergei, but also Yeva Strelnikova.
Yeah.
But both don't speak English. And for example, in Nazar's episode, I put some Ukrainian subtitles in. If they are correct, I want to apologize because I used a translation program, but I wanted to do it because we talked about Yeva.
Yeah.
So she needed to understand what we were talking about. And that's why I did both subtitles in this video.
I've worked maybe the last year or so, pretty much I think maybe one project I was out of town for, but like all of Yeva's projects that she did from like January of 2025 until now, I've been on. She's really it's I actually really enjoy working with her. She's
Yes, that's what Nazar said too, because she's not just directing, she is writing and she's editing.
yeah.
And she don't always need those billionaire CEOs and all the sexual content. She is develop some characters.
Yeah.
And I like it a lot.
And there's a lot of violence in those serials, but it always feels like it has a purpose. It's always moving the story forward in some way.
Yeah, but there are a few very good directors in Ukraine.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I mean, now I get a knot in my tongue again. Lulia,
Uh,
Alena,
uh,
Sarkachi.
I'm not sure if I know her. Yulia.
You spell it Liuli.
Maybe Lola. Lola.
Yeah,
Red-haired woman, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I met her. I haven't worked with her, but I have met her. I remember the name
Um,
of the Pink song, Lola.
yeah. Yeah, I have a few nicknames for her, but I wanted to say it actually correctly, but I always get a nut in my tongue.
It's the soft sound because it's not Lola, it's like Lola.
Yoya. Okay.
Like it's an L, but your tongue starts on the roof of your mouth. So like
Yoya.
it's
Okay.
not easy. It's not easy.
Jason, I guess we both need to stay in contact. If you have free time, you have to teach me Ukrainian. No, but also Max, what is his last name? Was that? And Alexei Darua, Kate.
Mhm.
I can't say her last name at the moment. But there are so many. Jana Antonets, it's
Mhm.
doing great too. And there are so many great directors in Ukraine, and they doing all such a good job.
And I mean, in general, I feel Ukraine has actually had a very important seminal place in film history. Uh, but I feel like for a long time it hasn't been acknowledged. And only recently, a little bit before, but mainly because of Ukraine being thrust into the spotlight because of the full-scale invasion, people have started to realize, and other directors have started to say, like, actually, Alexander Dovzhenko was making movies in the 20s and 30s that were decades upon decades ahead of their time and that are still relevant artistically, culturally today, not even just for Ukrainians, for everybody. And that continues today. Like honest Ukrainian music is what's brought me here, but I love Ukrainian cinema from the very beginning, Alexander Dovzhenko, until today with directors like Oleg Sentsov, a couple of other names that are escaping me, and the people that I work with.
For sure. I think that's what the vertical space around the world figured out as well, because I spoke to many people from the creative side, and they said what the Ukrainians are doing have a very high quality and how they are shooting it, how the verticals look like by editing, by with the light, with the music, and so on. It's amazing. And Anton Skripets told me in our conversation, even if the budgets are not that high, make it look cinematic, and they do in such a good job. Next week, for example, one day before your episode will come out, I will post a conversation of Vertical Voices with Zach Ireland.
Mhm.
He is American but lived 12, 15 years in China. And I will publish, guys, if you see this interview, Zach's interview is already posted. He told me once he got in contact with someone with who he went to college, and she is a script writer, and she wanted to start writing scripts for the vertical space. And
Mhm.
he told her, "Hey, if you want to learn how to write scripts, watch Ukrainian verticals, cause that's how you're doing it." And
And it's
so many people say that in this way.
the thing about it's also such an interesting thing writing the actual writing the scripts because it's a new space and it's a new format. Sure, that it adds up to like a 90-minute movie, but it's still different because you're writing it
Yeah,
in a different pacing. It
yeah,
reminds me of Rod Serling. He said the Twilight Zone in the 50s, the television show. He was like he said it was very difficult and it's so weird to write for television because you have 15 minutes and then all of a sudden you have a commercial for cigarettes and then you come back to the other thing and it's
yeah.
like people didn't have to write like that before.
And
Yeah.
that's why. I said it now in a few episodes by now. My friend Cordula from Verti Dramas. She is here from Germany as well, and she is an editorial director and executive producer. And she recently opened her Vertical Script Academy. First of all, it's in German, but later
Mhm.
on it will be translated in English as well. But she's the one who tried to get the verticals here to Germany as well. And there are a lot of people who want to learn how to write verticals, and verticals are not just those dramas, even commercials, etc. It's just a format vertical. And
Yeah.
you need a script for that as well. And that's what she is showing in this academy.
Yeah.
And in this academy, it's also like that. If there are good scripts, maybe those scripts landing someday in some verticals around the
Yeah.
world, whoever want them. You see, the industry is growing, and there
Yeah.
are right now a lot of people who started to being a fan or from the audience, because I don't like to call someone fan, because in this case, I always think about my very first concert where I went to. It was New Kids on the Block, and I was
Uh,
so shocked about all those teenager girls in front of the concert hall who holding signs up, we're yelling, we're crying, we're fainting, and I'm not doing that. That's why I don't like the word fan. But we
right.
all enjoy watching those shows. And there are a lot of people out of the community who started working in this industry
Mhm.
in different ways. And somehow some of us in the community have an impact in the industry as well.
That's cool. Like you were describing with the work you're doing, it's super important. Actors are able to have more of a presence on social media. People are paying more attention to them. It's actually very, very wonderful.
Because maybe yourself, there are barely credits in those verticals.
Mhm.
And some of the Ukrainian verticals are credits. And I love that they mention everyone from the crew, even the driver, the HR department, the administration assistant, etc. I love that because everybody need to be seen. But often you don't have this, especially for those review pages. It's
Yep.
so important to know that because recently there are so many new actors around the world. And in some shows, you don't even know one actor of them because they are all new. And you don't know the actors, you don't know the director, you don't know the production company. At least provide those information. And I always recommend to all those vertical apps, if you post something about a vertical which got released on your app, tag these actors. They need the visibility, not just for the community, but mostly for other production companies, for directors, for casting agents, etc. It's so important.
I used to work in games media, video games media for a little
Mhm.
bit. In the history of gaming, there was actually a similar situation where for the Atari 2600 back in the late 70s and 80s, they would never credit the game designer. And there was one video game called Adventure where there was a big quest that you could do. It's very simple. I don't know, old video games, right? Just squares on a screen. And there was this little quest you could do that was very hard. And once you actually did it, the only thing you unlocked was this thing opens up and it says designed by, and it was the guy's name. He
Oh,
hid it in
cool.
the game because the company at the time didn't allow the name of the game designer to be printed on the box.
Oh, that's great. But
And
it's
that
necessary.
100%, 100%.
And yes, actors are very important because they are showing us the story. But just take a look who's doing all the magic behind the camera that we get the finished product. And every single person is important in this case. Every single person.
And it'll open up new things for people who take the time to actually look into it. Because a lot of the directors, for example, they've worked in Ukrainian television. Some of them maybe even have directed a feature film. I know
Yeah,
for a fact some of them have directed feature films.
talented.
You yourself might go, "Oh, I like this vertical a lot. What else did this director do?" And then,
For example, Yeva Strelnikova.
yeah,
She's absolutely amazing in what she's doing. And there are maybe some people out there who said, if I'm watching a vertical of Yeva, it's always good. It's never disappointing. I want to watch all her shows. But how do you know if it's her show or not?
right?
And it's the
Actually,
same, a friend of mine, Michaela, she's German as well, and she have the podcast Let's Talk About Vertical, and I can recommend you, if you like podcasts, listening to it. But again, in this podcast, Michaela have the monthly Vertical recap. There are six ladies from the biggest review pages in this community, and they're talking every month about the prior, no, do you say prior month? The month which been before,
yep.
which verticals came out, which of them been really great, which of them were the crap of the month. They're talking about the best lead actors and actresses, but also the best supporting roles, and so on. And Aline from I Love Verticals, she said, for example, there is a script writer where she knows if she's writing a vertical, it's always good. And that's why she want to know if she wrote this story or not. So she no, I definitely can watch it without being disappointed or turn it off because the story got repeated for the 1,000th times or there's too much violence, etc. in it. And that's so important to see. And that's why in my fandom are not just the actors and actresses listed, also the directors, and if I know some script writers and all different kind of positions, because you guys need to be seen. I always can say it. I sound like a LP. I'm sorry, but it's just like it is. And now I'm getting back to a subject which you said before, if I've been already on set somewhere. Yes, around 10 or 11 years ago. It was actually by mistake. You can see me in four music videos.
That's fun.
And it was just by mistake. And I took also, after the first music video, I took over the production assistants.
Oh.
So I know a little bit about it. It's not that high paced, maybe verticals, but it still was totally interesting. And just a few weeks ago, I didn't see, because the person who's shooting these music videos, we became friends.
Hmm.
And we didn't see each other in 9 years. And a
Yeah.
few weeks ago, he shot here in Cologne for a famous German gangster rapper music video. And I said, hey, we didn't see each other in a while. May I come to the set? And he said, you can always come. And I've been there and I always sit there and watch what they are doing. It's so interesting to see what's going on. And I've been already back in it because I helped the makeup artist if something didn't fit well with the costume of the rapper or the other people in front of the camera. I helped out. I like that a lot.
And it's
I
like
don't.
the pace of it is so interesting, and I don't think not everybody can really handle it because there's so much waiting. There's so
Yes.
much waiting. But it's like when it's your turn to do your job, you better be there. You better do it. You better do it when it needs to
Yes.
happen. Then it's
And
like,
that's what I'm
yeah.
always preaching, actually.
Yeah.
You know yourself, it's been like back then that everyone were complaining about soap operas. Oh, you acting in a soap opera? Oh, you are not a good actor. You never will be a good actor. And it's the same with verticals. Some people will say, oh, it's just like TikTok. The TikTok trend will be gone in a few weeks or months. But I think actors who have experience in shooting verticals are so much more important for normal feature films as well, because they have a different pace. They don't shoot one scene 5,000 times. And if they can shoot everything much quicker, they can save so much money for the production company. And I talked to Easton. He been in another project outside of the vertical space, and they shot 2 pages a day.
Was he talking about the Ukrainian movie he was in?
No, no, I guess it was in Canada.
Okay, because I know he was in a Ukrainian movie, and I remember seeing him. I saw the Ukrainian movie and then met him maybe like 6 months later, and I was like, "Oh, I remember you."
He is Canadian with Ukrainian roots and lived
Yeah,
there
yeah.
since 2007.
I worked with him on a project. He's so much fun. There's
Yeah,
nobody else who's
definitely.
been fun to work with, but he is like just a ball of fun.
I enjoyed my conversation with him as well. And he started our conversation because I asked him, how does it happen that a Canadian man moved to Ukraine? And he said, Bianca, I have to be honest. I killed someone in Canada, and Interpol is
Right.
looking for me. And the whole conversation, even before and after the recording, it was great. I liked it a lot.
But back to what you were saying about soap operas and how it relates to this, it's very easy to dismiss a new format when it comes along and be
Always.
even be scared of it a little bit because things change, industries are always changing. But when it comes to the type of content that you get when you're swiping on your phone, verticals, they're on a higher tier than most most other things that you'll find when you're swiping through TikTok or anything on Meta. It's
Yes.
actors flexing their muscles, flexing their education,
And
and
I
it's
mean, you
still
can
new.
watch it everywhere. You can watch it everywhere. You don't need to be at home and have a TV in front of you. And I guess that's great. And we are still in the on the beginning. They started shooting verticals in 2023, but we are still on the beginning, and there will be so much more coming.
TV. Let's look at TV for example. It started in the late 40s and somewhat. You had a few TV shows in the 50s that are very high tier, but things didn't really start getting good and interesting until the 70s. There's a lot of space for growth, and it is growing.
Definitely. And there will come more changes, maybe some in a negative way, maybe some, hopefully more in a positive way. But this is not the end, not
Mhm.
even close. Because I recently spoke to Noel Zalblix. He been in Ukraine and shot How to Trap President's Son. And he told me they starting shooting verticals now in Sweden as well.
Wow.
Europe is getting more and more involved with verticals.
Yeah.
They're shooting in Turkey, in Istanbul. They're shooting in Lithuania, in
Mhm.
Poland, in France, in Italy, Sweden, in UK, in Germany they started as well.
Mhm.
And I guess we don't even know about all the countries who are joining now. And I think it's great.
Mhm.
But each country need to provide more information, first of all, for the citizen, what are verticals? Not everyone knows that. How often does someone ask me, what are you talking about? And then you explain to them, I guess I saw something on Facebook about that. And that's how it's going. And because here in Germany, if you Google for something like that, you don't find much.
I only
Slow.
just recently found people who actually know like what these are. Before then, when I started working, I never heard of this format. I had no idea that it existed, and I had no idea how it worked. I thought like, oh, maybe it's like student actors making a little money while they're studying, and then I show up and it's like these seasoned professionals making this stuff. Seasoned professionals both in front of the camera, behind the camera, and they're working so efficiently, and it's a real professional product. And then I look into it more and I'm like, oh, this has been going on already for a little while and it's very popular. And only now have I met some people where I say like, oh yeah, I work on verticals. And they're like, oh, I know. I love Nazar Hravar. I love Bogdan. I can't believe you work with them. That's so funny.
For example, in my case, I told you before the recording, I have depression at the moment, and it's very hard here in Germany to find a therapist. Since I'm struggling, I got a help in a coaching where I'm going twice a week, and they're helping me with the daily stuff like if I have important letters to write them good and so on. And there's one coach. While I went the first time there, she told I told her something about me and about my hobby and stuff, and she said, "Oh, oh, you mean something like that?" And she showed me on her phone all the vertical apps, so she knew about it. And a few weeks ago, my coach, which I have now since a few weeks, I came into this office and she said, "Hey, our CEO from Germany is visiting us today, and they would like to talk to someone who get coached by us. Would you
Mhm.
like to join us in this meeting and maybe talk about your experience of your coaching?" I said, "Sure." I joined the conference room and there were sitting 50 people. I was sitting down and I started talking because that's what I'm doing. I'm more a talker than a texter. I told them my experience of the coaching and why I needed to go there. And that I found something which is coming me down, like those verticals and my fandom work, the whole room being quiet, everyone were listening and being impressed. And I seen on a side eye, a gentleman was sitting and he immediately started making notes. I'm done with talking to them, and we start our coaching, and he's joining us in our meeting, and he's introduced himself. That was a CEO, and he said, "I know what verticals are. A buddy of mine is working in something like that too. Maybe I can connect you guys and stuff like that." It's amazing to see that more and more people learn about that, and that's sometimes how small the world is. That's funny. Jason, is there anything what you want to know about the fandom or something, or do you want to say something to the audience?
What I'd like to say to the audience. Well, if this is the opportunity to plug something, you can always listen to my music. Like I said before, I am a songwriter and performer. I write, even though Ukrainian is my second language, I write songs in Ukrainian and I perform in Ukrainian. You can find me on Instagram, Jason, first name, underscore, Wojnar or Wojnar. Let's think
I
about it.
will put the links in the description.
I also have a band in the United States I play with whenever I go back home. We play Ukrainian rock music from the 60s and
Ooh,
70s, and they
ooh.
Ukrainians eat it up. They love it. But also the Americans who don't really know about it, who aren't familiar with it, they also come out and they enjoy the music so much. It's like this whole world they had no idea existed. Ukrainian rock music from the 60s and 70s, it's this whole doesn't sound like any other rock music from the United
Okay.
States or Britain. And I would say, yeah, keep watching the verticals. I also would love, and I think it's so great that people have become interested in Ukraine because of these verticals, the fandom, that, I'm so happy to hear that it's like you are trying to learn Ukrainian, that you're taking steps beyond just watching the verticals, that you've become interested in Ukraine itself. And that's wonderful to hear because Ukraine is such a gem, it's less of a hidden gem now, but when I moved to Ukraine in 2017, people couldn't find it on the map. And it's the biggest country in Europe, literally the biggest country that's located entirely in Europe. And some people didn't even realize that Ukraine was a separate language. And there are so many cultural contributions that Ukraine deserves recognition for in all fields of art, in your visual art, audio art, in music, film. Like I was saying before, like literally from the beginning of film history, Ukrainians have been producing groundbreaking art that has always pushed the envelope. And part of the reason why it doesn't get the recognition that it deserves is because Russia has so often suppressed it or stolen it and
Okay.
taken it for itself. And I try to spread the word as much as possible. And there's a lot of people who try
Go
to,
for it.
there's a lot of people who do similar work where they try to like decolonialize Ukraine culturally, let people know that that piece of music, no, Shedrik, Carol of the Bells. So many
That's
people,
Ukrainian. I just learned it around Christmas, and
yeah,
that's
so
a
many
beautiful song.
people have known that song their whole lives, but they had no idea that it comes from a Ukrainian
Yeah.
composer, and they don't know his story. Then there's another visual artist. His name escapes me. Malevich, I think. Yeah, Malevich is his last name. He's an avant-garde visual artist, and in every museum, he's always listed as a Russian artist, even though he was born in Ukraine, I believe, and he himself identified as Ukrainian. And the main influence on his art was Ukrainian folk clothing and the patterns on Ukrainian folk clothing
Mhm.
and folk and towels. Like, so I really hope that the people who are interested in verticals get as interested in Ukraine as a whole. And maybe keep watching the verticals, but maybe check out a Ukrainian movie, a classic Ukrainian movie from the 60s or 70s, because there's a whole treasure trove of them.
I can tell you in my fandom on Discord, but also on the My Drama Discord channel. There are everywhere, yeah, people up from the audience who always say, "Oh, we love Ukraine and we would love to travel there, no matter if there's a war or not. We want to go there." And there are more and more people who enjoying that and see that and supporting Ukrainians. And it's amazing to see.
And going back to what we were talking about before with people getting credit, like Strelnikov, Serhiy Strelnikov, he's been in he's been in multiple features, but I actually saw him in a Ukrainian movie before I met him and worked with him and didn't realize I had seen him because there's
Yeah,
this project where he
he,
plays a
he's
samurai.
he's also very popular in Russia.
Yeah. But he works now exclusively in
Yeah, yeah,
Ukraine. He's been working in Ukraine for a
yeah,
very, very long time, and he
yeah.
speaks Ukrainian perfectly. He was born in Ukraine, but he was popular over there before the war started in 2014.
Yeah.
He did a lot of work over there. Just to clear up that
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
fully patriotic. I don't want anybody to get any misconceptions.
No,
Uh,
no.
he is 100%. But he was in this movie where he plays a samurai and he's got long hair. I don't know if you've
Mm.
ever seen pictures, but he's in a robe and holding a sword. And then I work with him and he's got short hair and he's, in different clothes. And only later did I realize that it's him. And I was like, oh my God. And he also is in a movie called Dovbush, which is a popular Ukrainian story that was adapted into a movie 2 years ago. And it was a very popular Ukrainian movie. And, if you're a fan of Strelnikov's work in serials in the vertical space, I think you would get a kick out of watching him play a movie in his native language. And you'll
Are
be able to
these
hear his voice.
are these movies available some outside of Ukraine and maybe with subtitles?
Yes, I'm not 100% sure where they would be available in Europe, but I did watch Once Upon a Time in Ukraine, which is the one where he's a samurai. I watched it on Amazon Prime when I was in the United States. But I'm pretty
Let's
sure you can find
let's
it.
do it this way. You give me afterwards the correct names of these shows,
For sure, for sure.
and we will find maybe the information where you guys can watch it.
Yeah.
Let's do it this way. Jason, thank you so much for joining me because it's so important even to hear what your job is because you are helping these actors to increase their English skills. Are you
Thank
the
you.
only one, by the way, who's a native speaker on set, or are there more?
There have been other ones who are native speakers. I'm not really in contact with them just because there's only ever one of us at a time,
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't really interact with them that much. But I am confident that there are some. I don't know how many are consistent, So because some of them, a lot of people, the thing about working in film is that it's like you can't really have another full-time job because sometimes you have to work on a project for 2 weeks or something. So
Yeah.
it's hard to be consistent in this space. So I think a lot of people maybe only do one project or something and then they move on to something else. But yeah.
Yeah, because you are the only one which we can see in some BTS. The
Yeah.
others we never get recognized or been tagged.
How did you
Uh,
find out about me? I'm curious, by the way. How did you find me?
I saw you in some BTS somewhere, and someone said something like you are a tutor.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember no more who said this. I guess it was even in the BTS that you guys were joking around, and this actor said, "Yeah, our tutor," or something like that.
Maybe Irakli.
It could be possible. I don't
Yeah.
know who
He
was it
shoots the
because
behind the scenes stuff.
there's
Yeah.
too many of that, but somehow I found you.
Irakli is so funny because I tell him
Yeah.
he sounds like he's from New York.
That's what he said in our conversation that you
Yeah, he
said
sounds
this.
like specific sounds like an old Jewish man. Like
Yeah.
like people I know. Like absolutely. That's exactly right. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with him as well. So I wish you a great, peaceful evening.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me to this interview. It was a great time.
It's all my pleasure. And yeah, if you have something to tell us again, you always can come back.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, you are always welcome. And yeah, have a great weekend.
You too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.